Yo, welcome to another episode of Optimize Your Body podcast. I am sat here on a summer's day here in Sydney, and I wanted to change the scenery today and do one outdoors in nature. So I've got something exciting to announce before we get into this. I'm going to be giving one lucky person full scholarship, 3 months of coaching, basically for free, because it's a scholarship, right? Now, I do this once or twice a year, and all you've got to do to apply, and you're going to get first dibs on this, ladies and gents, as being, my fellow podcast audience. The link is in the show notes. Click the link, apply as soon as you can. And I'm going to be announcing the winners I'm going to go for the 2nd of January to announce the winners, which means in the new year, you're going to get 3 months of coaching for free. Only one person is going to win. You've got to be in it to win it. So you need to apply for this. You're going to get coached by me 1-to-1. And you're going to get into the shape of your life into 2021 and finally get the transformation that you've been wanting, right? So don't miss out on this. You'd be a fool to miss it. And let's get stuck in. So basically, I'm going to do some questions from the audience if this laptop doesn't overheat. A lot of you keep asking me to get back into doing these solo ones, right? With the Q&A from the audience. And I think it's about time. So first question is, can I build muscle on under 30 grams of carbs? I've been eating keto for 9 months and I built 0 muscle over the past 3 months. What should I do? I love this question because it's multifaceted, if that's even a word. And I'm going to just share some absolute gems here in terms of building muscle and how you do that in a way where you're going to get maximum results for the time you're putting in. You don't want to be plateauing for long periods of time. If you stop building muscle, there's nothing worse than fucking going to the gym, putting the work in, it's painful in the gym, and getting 0 results. Stop that. So to answer the question, what you need to do is, firstly, this person has been eating keto for 9 months, right? And under 30 grams of carbs. Now, can you build muscle on 0 carbs? Of course you can. Now, is it optimal to have 0 carbs for building muscle? No, not for most people. The research is pretty clear that for performance, building muscle, and even some research to show anabolic, when you have more carbohydrates, it puts you in a slightly more anabolic state, which essentially means in a muscle building state. But the most important thing, the big rocks when it comes to building muscle, is, are you in a calorie surplus? Number one, that's number one. If you're not in a calorie surplus, you're not eating enough, forget about building muscle. It's simply not going to happen. That's the most important thing. Number 2, are you training appropriately? Does your training program suck? Because most people, their program sucks dick, right? Excuse the French. Their training program is terrible. And they haven't even got a program. Most people are just literally doing a bunch of random workouts. And that's not going to cut it. But then the other thing is then, I always say this, but, just like your training, right? You have to switch up your training to get your body to respond. If you keep doing the same thing, your body adapts to what you're doing because the body's an adaptation machine, and you get diminishing results, right? So you've got to throw a curveball. You need to throw a curveball, right? And the same goes for nutrition. So this is what you need to do. If you've stopped building muscle for the past, 3 months, then, and you're having under 30 grams of carbs, just for some context, this person's eating keto, under 30 grams of carbs. Basically, keto needs to be 70 to 85% fat, essentially, and the rest protein. So then 15 to 30% protein. So this person eating keto is obviously eating meats and then fats. Simple as that, right? Fats being maybe they're having butter, maybe they're having avocado. I haven't got the details. But regardless, they're having mainly fat, like under 30 grams of carbs, virtually no carbs. Maybe they have an avocado, right? A little bit of carbohydrates in there. And then just a bit of meat, protein, right? So if you haven't built muscle for the last 3 months, then ultimately, number one, there could be a few things here. It could be a training program which needs to be changed. But that's secondary too. Are you in a calorie surplus? If you haven't built muscle for the last 3 months and you've been eating keto, I don't know whether you've changed the calories to increase your calories to build muscle, because that's what you need to do. So number one, are you eating enough? Right? Because simply you could stay keto and just add more fat, for example, to get the calories up, maybe even a little bit more protein, depending on where you're at. And that's going to put you into calorie surplus. Therefore, you're going to actually build muscle, right? Simple as that. But it's not going to be ideal long term, eating keto to build muscle. You can easily, even if you are in a calorie surplus, which is unlikely, but even if you are, you can still plateau and basically slow down muscle gain process if you're eating keto. Why? Because, like I said, if you introduce some carbohydrates now, and I'm not sure why this person's keto, some people, they have serious like immune conditions and stuff, which ultimately is gonna stop them from, bringing carbs back in for health reasons. But most people can bring carbs in, and if you bring them in, what you're going to notice is you're going to get more performance benefits. You're going to notice more strength. You're probably going to notice recovery improve. It may put your body into more of a slightly anabolic state. And then the simple thing then comes down to when you introduce carbohydrates, it's actually easier to eat more calories. And not all carbohydrates make you want to eat more, but even if it's white rice, it's easier to eat more white rice than it is fucking bowls of butter or like blocks of butter, right? In some ways, anyway. Well, it really depends. But you can increase your calories easy by eating more carbohydrates. And then you want to eat more of them, generally, even if it's white rice and fruit. You generally get into the pattern of eating them, which is not all bad. That's actually a good thing for most people, especially if you've been keto for 9 months and you purely want to build muscle. You're going to notice more strength, which therefore carries over into more muscle gain. You're probably going to notice you recover a bit better as well because you're replenishing your glycogen levels and speeding up the recovery process. You may, on top of that, be having more calories, which again is obviously going to increase recovery, muscle gain, because you have to be in a surplus of at least 5% above your maintenance calories to build muscle. Otherwise, you're just simply it's not going to happen. So that's what you're going to notice is going to happen. So I recommend, to answer the question, yes, increasing carbohydrates, tracking your calories to see if you're actually in a surplus of calories with at least 5% above your maintenance. So if your maintenance calories are 2,500, for example, you need to be having at least 125 calories minimum. I would say 10% to play it safe. So say 250 calories on top of that 2,500. So that would mean like 2,750 calories to actually build muscle, right? You need to be in that surplus. Then you need to look at your training programming and look at are you actually following a proper training program, right? Or you just lifting. Fine if you want to lift, but if you want to maximize the results, you've got to be training appropriately, doing the right amount of volume, hitting the body parts frequently enough, and ultimately changing the phase as well. So periodization is key. So every 3 to 6 weeks, you need to be changing up the training stimulus. So you're changing it up. So I hope that answers that question. Yes, you can build muscle, on keto or low carbs, but it's far from optimal for most people. So the next question is fat loss mainly. So I'm looking to drop 20 pounds in the new year. I lost 30 pounds this year. Well done. But I've been stuck at the same weight and I haven't lost any fat. It's not just weight for the last 3 months. And to be honest, Martin, I feel like quitting and my clothes are not fitting any better. And I just know I'm not losing fat. If anything, I may be going backwards because I feel some of my clothes are getting a tiny bit tighter. And I noticed my body fat went up on the body stat thing, although I know that's not accurate. I do weights 3 times. I run 3 times per week. I eat at least 90% real food, 10% processed on the weekends mainly. And I eat 1,300 calories. Wow, that's low calories. And I have been for the last 6 months. What can I do to get this extra 20 pounds off in the new year? So there's a few answers to this question, right? What you're going to look at, number one, is the opposite to what I was just saying, right? To lose fat, you need to be in a calorie deficit, right? You need to be burning more calories than what you're eating. We all know that, most people. You can't ever argue with the law of thermodynamics. In other words, you need to be in a calorie surplus to build muscle. You be in a deficit to lose weight, right? So let's just clear that part up first. So if you've plateaued and you're gaining weight, or even if let's just say you stayed the same weight, which you have, you're not in a calorie deficit. Simple as that, right? So, for example, this person has lost 30 pounds. So what started off as a deficit for you, let's say you're on, I don't know what you were doing to lose the 30 pounds, Rob. I'm just going to assume you're on 1,300 calories. What starts off as a calorie deficit is no longer a deficit when you're in a deficit for a long period of time. So, for example, let's say you started off on 1,300 calories. You're doing cardio, you're doing weights. And that is a deficit for you. You start losing weight, you lost 30 pounds, boom, 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 everything's going the right way, fantastic. But then when you attempt to stay on the same calories and in a calorie deficit, what happens then is the body adapts and it gets more efficient with calories because all the body knows is survival. And this is why most people actually, this is a big reason why over 90 to 95% of people gain all the weight back they lost within 1 year, right? It's because they get disheartened, they hit a plateau, or like this person, they gain fat. This happens a lot, by the way. Can't tell you how many times this happens. They're eating the same calories, doing the same workouts, but they gain fat, right? How's that happening? The body is doing what it should be doing. Yeah, it's frustrating if you're looking to lose weight, but if you're trying to stay alive, which is all the body cares about, it's actually doing what it should be doing, and it's getting more efficient with the calories you're consuming. In other words, it's storing fat because all the body knows is, okay, you're not feeding me much. You're trying to burn quite a lot of calories by doing 3 cardios a week. We need to basically store energy to keep you alive. Okay, let's store fat. That's it. Simple as that. So your maintenance calories then drop because your metabolism gets slower, essentially, when you're in a prolonged calorie deficit. And let's just say your maintenance calories were, I'm just going to say 2,000 calories, right? And you were in 1,300 calories. That's a big deficit. 700 calorie deficit, right, to start with. Then month by month, little by little, even if you're doing exactly the same stuff, let's just assume you're eating the same and you're doing the same training. Maintenance calories slowly drop because your metabolism gets more efficient with calories. Metabolism slows down. In other words, your metabolic rate slows down. And then 2,000 calories, 1,900, 1,800, 1,700, right down to 1,300 is now your new maintenance calories because you kept doing the same thing and the body's adapted. And then, even worse than that, the body gets really efficient with calories, and then the maintenance calories go even lower, 1,200, maybe even 1,100, right? And the only way then you can lose more weight is by burning more calories manually, which is not sustainable for most. Okay, I'm going to do more cardio, and eat the same. Great. Same thing's going to happen. You're going to get to a point where you can't do any more. You can't burn any more manually. You've only got so many hours in a day, and you've only got so much energy to exert, right? And then what happens? You plateau at some point. You might lose a little bit more weight, but then as you stop the output, bang, your body stores, fat again. So that's basically where you're at, just to explain that in a nutshell. And this is what I'll tell you exactly what you need to do. I can give you the solution, right? But what you're going to look at is 1,300 calories for the last 6 months. That's really low calories. So the body's going, okay, you're only feeding me 1,300, but you're burning X amount. So we need to adapt. And that's basically what's happened. The metabolism's adapted. It's called a metabolic adaptation. It's adapted by getting more efficient with calories. So yeah, that's a big problem for most people. What do you need to do to flip the script? Let's get into it. Very simple, not easy though. Very hard to do. The likelihood is, I'm not trying to be like, doom and gloom, but you're not going to do this on your own. It's not going to happen because it's a psychological head fuck of actually eating a bit more food, calories up. Don't know how much protein you're eating, but you need to eat more protein probably, unless you're having consistently, or you're probably having a decent amount, but you could even increase protein higher. Let's say you're perfect, right? And you're having a gram of protein per pound of body weight. You could even increase that to 1.25 grams per pound of body weight, or even 1.5 grams per pound of body weight, which is the amount I eat. Increase calories at the same time. But here's the important piece. You need to change up the way you're training. You need to taper down the cardio. I know that I sound like a broken record saying this all the time. I'm not anti-cardio, but I'm anti people getting fucking shit results and getting fatter, basically. So let's say instead of doing 3 cardios, let's reduce that to 1 cardio, and let's increase to 2 extra weight training sessions. So the time you're already spending, you're not spending any more time. You're just being more efficient with your time. Rather than doing those 3 cardios, do 1 cardio. Rather than doing the 3 weights you're doing, ramp that up to 5 weight training sessions. But it has to be appropriate. It has to be a proper program. I can't stress that enough. If you just increase weights and start lifting heavy and going hard, it's probably going to impede recovery. And you'll probably get better results. You'll get better results because you'll be sending a better signal, at least for a short period of time. But it has to be appropriate with the volume. It has to be structured, the type of training you're doing in the gym with weights, right? Bang, your metabolism is going to speed up. So this does the opposite. It sends the opposite signal. So the signal you're currently sending is, okay, get more efficient with calories, store fat, store calories. by doing more cardio and eating less. By eating more and eating more protein, by eating more protein, your body burns more calories anyway, right? Remember, for every, 100 calories of protein you eat, your body, you only actually consume 70 calories of protein because the body burns it as it's consuming it because it costs a lot of energy to digest protein. Number two, you're going to send a signal to burn more calories. So you're going to get your body to automatically burn more calories. So by me sitting down on this bench now, because I'm lifting weights 6 times a week and I'm having high protein, my body's burning loads of calories because it has to work hard to keep this muscle on my body, number one, right? And then number two, because I'm having high protein, my metabolism is more elevated because it's working hard to digest that protein. But to keep all this muscle on my body's like constantly roaring, my metabolism, right? So it's hard for me to eat enough. And that's where you need to be. So ultimately, that's what you need to do. You're going to send a signal to a strength signal, essentially, right? So you're going to send a signal to your body to go, okay, we need to burn more calories because we're building muscle. Building muscle is a strenuous task for the body. It taxes your nervous system in a good way if you get an adequate recovery more. It also forces your metabolic rate to speed up because your basically protein synthesis, right? So protein synthesis is when your body has to synthesize protein and it has to repair your muscles essentially from the mechanical tension and the metabolic stress on your body from lifting weights. And then it has to burn more calories for that whole process of repairing your muscle tissue. And then you're eating more protein on top of that. And then, for like 12 to 24 hours after training, even longer than that, but that's the sweet spot, your body's burning more calories by itself. So when you do cardio, for example, let's say you go to the gym and you do an hour of cardio, your body's burning a lot of calories for that hour, but then it stops afterwards. So you don't get any afterburn. So for about, let's just say, give or take 5% of your day, you're burning more calories if you do cardio. But if you go lift weights for an hour, or even 45 minutes, you're burning more calories for like 50% of your day, minimum, right? For at least 12 hours afterwards, if that makes sense. So it's the afterburn, which is high. Imagine you're doing that 5 times or an extra 2 times per week. It's a big compound effect. And that's what you're looking at when it comes to fat loss and getting in shape, is the compound interest. It's sending the right signal for long periods of time and being smart with what you're doing, right? So that's basically the answer to that. Eat higher protein. I would say even go up to like 1.25 grams per pound of body weight, or 1.5 grams if you can do that, if you're already having 1 pound. But if you're not, let's say you're having less than a gram per pound of body weight, consistently have a gram per pound of body weight, right? Every single day. Follow a proper training program. Do more strength training and less cardio. And in my current state, for example, I'm doing weights 6 times per week, 0 cardio. Don't do any cardio. I'll do a bit of volleyball here and there, but I get the cardio and health benefits, most of it from lifting weights. Squats, high reps. You're getting your heart rate up for sustained periods. You're getting fitness benefits from that, especially next week when I do high reps. So anyway, just want to wrap that up anyway there. Hope that answers the questions, ladies and gents. Please do me a favor. We need to get this podcast out to more people. Please give me a rating and review. If you're listening on iTunes, give me a rating and review. On YouTube, please like and comment beneath with your feedback. Even if it's just an emoji, if you liked it, please. I want to get more people seeing this so we can impact more lives going into 2025. And if you're on Spotify, the same thing. Please give me a rating and review because we want to really impact as many people as possible. And more importantly, I want to get more valuable content out to you and more, better guests on. And to do that, we need to continue to grow this podcast. So one more little reminder in the show notes. If you want to apply to get scholarship for the Optimize Your Body program, 3 months scholarship, click the link below in the show notes or beneath this video and apply